The defense forces are conducting assault operations in the Zaporizhzhia and Oleksandrivka directions. This was stated by Commander-in-Chief Syrsky. However, he did not disclose further details of the operation. TSN special correspondent Yulia Kirienko also notes that our troops have begun to move forward. She is currently working in the Zaporizhzhia region, and you can watch her report on how intense it is now on the front line coming up next. In the report, you will also see a fundraiser for the needs of the 148th Artillery Brigade. So you can join in to support the unit.
A trip to the red zone usually has to be very carefully planned. At the very least, it should be a more protected one. A vehicle. Today we have a Humvee, plus some extra gadgets like drone detectors. Enemy attack drones are currently in the air. In fact, we are in the Zaporizhzhia direction. This is where the most active fighting is happening right now. Our driver Victor, who is taking us closer to the front line, isn't very talkative, but he's extremely focused. After all, he has to keep an eye not only on the road, but also on the sky above us. We constantly receive alerts that enemy drones are in our sector, so we're forced to stop and wait them out. Fly over. The soldiers are not surprised that the sky is filled with enemy drones, as these UAVs are actively searching for their self-propelled unit. This is the French Caesar self-propelled howitzer, a 155mm system. It was one of the first to be provided to the Ukrainian military by foreign partners, and back in 2022, its current commander, with the call sign Dioma, began his training on it in France.
There they explained everything, showed us the gun, everything was beautiful, just as it should be, with paved walkways and all that. And then you go out to the training range, checks firing practice, everything hit the target, everything was good. But then when we got here, there were some nuances that they hadn't explained to us, things we only learned about here. And we tried, as they say, its full power when firing at the IBK 18 shells. It performed quite well.
Since then, I've gone through more than one section of the front with it, and now Caesar is helping the defense forces change the situation in the Zaporizhzhia direction. This week, foreign observers and military analysts have been discussing the counteroffensive near Zaporizhzhia. Defense forces haven't officially commented, although recently the Center for Countering Disinformation reported that Ukraine liberated the village of Ternivate. But the soldiers here on the front line still prefer to maintain radio silence, at least until there are more obvious successes, they say. But the cannon fire seems to hint at something. Our troops are indeed advancing. Even the artillerymen themselves admit there's more work now. There's much more to do nowadays.
We go out more, we fire more, we strike more targets, and we destroy more of the hostile enemy.
But the enemy is also trying to regain what they've lost. But first, they want to locate the self-propelled artillery to silence it. And they do this with their attack drones.
Move all the way under the trees.
Unfortunately, we didn't have time, as usual, after the self-propelled gunfires to leave the firing position, because the Russian drone Molnya was already in the sky. There is a strong possibility that he has already detected our operations here, and in fact, we are now forced to take cover under the trees and wait for this drone to fly by. Hope he doesn't notice us. Always an explosion on the horizon. Target is in French, Caesar.
When the lightning strike was finally revealed, the most striking thing that was found to be extraordinarily similar to Gerber was specifically the systematic suppression of the inclusion that occurred throughout the entire process. Suffocated and disappeared from the radar.
So Caesar goes to shelter as quickly as possible, once the account prepares him for further work. After all, a French car likes to stay well-groomed, jokes Sergei.
There are a lot of sensors here, they always need to be kept clean.
Not so long ago, Sergei was still firing an 82mm caliber mortar in another unit. Until it was destroyed. Russian drones.
On my record, there have already been 3 of them that no longer have a mortar. The war is changing. The drones are very close to the front line. Well, that's just how it is now. Simply stepping out of the shelter and doing anything at all is already a luxury. There are little things there, like from the old days.
So he approves of the Ministry of Defense and General Staff's plans to stop using mortars, specifically the small 82mm ones. Especially since he himself has experienced what it's like to work with long-range guns.
I've always dreamed of big calibers, so that when you hit, you really hit. As you saw, even the pine needles.
Their entire bodies were visibly shaking and trembling with an uncontrollable intensity that was hard to ignore.